The answer to poverty did not come from an Ivy League college or a Washington think tank. It came from Bangladesh. In 1976, Muhammad Yunus, a young economics professor, encountered a group of women who appeared to be running profitable cottage industries. Yet they and their children were starving. Village loan sharks charged them so much interest that the women could barely scratch out a living. Dr. Yunus lent the women small amounts of money out of his own pocket. The women flourished, and Grameen Bank was born. Grameen Bank has grown into a powerful force for social change. It has lent more than $4 billion and now serves more than 3 million borrowers. 95% are women. A 1998 World Bank study found that Grameen families were emerging from poverty at the rate of 10,000 per month. Other research indicates that almost half of Grameen Bank members have escaped poverty. For perhaps the first time in history, an effective anti-poverty strategy exists that can create an impact that lasts well beyond the original investment.
Hi, I'm Chrystia Freeland. I'm the U.S. Managing Editor of the Financial Times, and I will be moderating this pre-lunch session. Sorry that we're starting a little bit late. That may cut down on our Q&As before lunch. And thank you for your patience. I did say to the Google people that the slot just before lunch on a Monday is rather unforgiving. But we do have a very eclectic international group of really inspiring Renaissance people to talk about this subject, which I think in many ways is the most interesting one. And probably wrongly named, because it's not really the other half of the world, it's most of the world that I hope we'll be talking about for the next hour and a half. Just a few notes on how we're going to do it. We will have the full gamut of speaking forms. We're going to have one 20-minute talk, then a conversation between me and our next presenter, and then two 20-minute conversations with me and two people each. I hope at the end of that we'll have time for a few questions and answers from the audience. Our first speaker is an intimidating Renaissance man, Professor Hans Rosling. He began as a doctor in Mozambique, actually discovered a disease. He's the founder of Sweden's Médecins Sans Frontières, so I guess that means in Europe nowadays that you become foreign minister eventually of your country, and we'll be looking forward to that. And he also is, with his son and daughter-in-law, founder of a very creative internet application designed to make dry statistics absolutely fascinating. He's going to talk about that now and other things. And if he doesn't tell you enough about Gapminder, I urge you to read the Financial Times, because my colleague Simon Briscoe was interviewing him this morning, so you'll get the full story there. Professor Rosling, please.
When I talk with my students about the world, they tell me they cannot live like us. This is the single most common expression about the world that I hear from the undergraduate students in Sweden. And I got very interested about how do they think? How do they think? I decided to put them at a test. I asked them a number of questions about the world when they came to my course in global health. And this question led to a major scientific discovery. I asked them, which is the child mortality highest in which of these two countries in each pair? And it happens to be that Turkey has twice the child mortality of Sri Lanka, Poland twice of South Korea, Russia higher than Malaysia, Pakistan higher there, South Africa highest there. And these are the results of the Swedish students. 1.8 correct answers out of 5 possible. A wonderful result for a professor. It's like a market survey for you. There's ignorance out there I can teach, you know. But the main discovery came that evening when I wrote the report. I suddenly realized that I have proven with a confidence interval of plus minus 0.4, that top students in Sweden with the highest grade you can get in the college system know statistically significantly less about the world than the chimpanzee. Because a chimp given 2 bananas, one South Africa, one Thailand, and they would pick 50% correct answer. Why do my students know less than random? Why would they score better hadn't they seen the question? It means that when I teach about stem cells, I have a white sheet of paper in front of me. When I teach about the world, the head is full of preconceived ideas. It's much tougher to come with facts about the world because we already think we know about the world. I asked the students, how do you think about the world? Well, it's we and them, they said. But what do you mean with the we and them? Well, it's Western world and third world, they said. We learned it in school. Yeah, but what is the criteria of Western world? And then they started to think, criteria was, well, we learned that it's long life in small family. And third world is short life in large family. And I'm happy because these are sharp criteria. So we developed the Trendalizer software where we could display the world. You can see here, I put fertility rate here, the size of family from 1 child to 8 children, the length of life here, 30 years up to 80 years. And where is it human beings want to live? Where would you like to live? I have to have a ladder to be able to show you. Human beings obviously want to live up here, don't you? That's where you want to live. 2 children, 3 children, 80 years old. We want to replace the funerals of the young with the funerals of the old. This is where, and that's very few countries that live up there. Look there. It's a problematic because these are the Western countries. Every bubble is a country. The color here, these are the Americas. This is Africa, all Africa. Can you see there? Large families, short lives. Arab countries are the deep green there. Large families, short life. Europe. Almost all Europe up there, with the exception of Turkey down there. This is Asia. And the ones up here in Pacific is, of course, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. So the students are right. The world consists of one group of countries down here, which has third world, large families and short life, and Western world, small families long. It's just that this is 1950. It's when I was 2 years old. So the students know something which was long ago. So what has happened with the world? What is the world today? If I would show you the world, how is that changed? Watch out, here we go. You can see now, 1952, 53. Health is getting better here. China is improving health there. Latin American countries here, they decrease the family size, is going this way. You can see Bangladesh is down here. This is India. China is very successful with family planning. Latin America moves. Now the Arabic countries start with family planning. The African countries is moving on. But the HIV epidemic is coming. It's taking down the life expectancy. It's falling. South Africa is falling down there. Rest of the world is moving up. And when we come into the modern time, we have a completely new world, more or less like this. This is the prognosis some few years forward, but the last actual measured data is this. Did you have this worldview? Did you know that the average in all countries is 2 to 3 children per woman? That the length of life is 65 to 75 years old? There is no limitation between the third world and the Western world any longer measured as this. The students are just bloody wrong. And I can show you the enormous development of some countries here. Let me pick here Bangladesh. It was in the first movie here. And I look here at United States, 1958. And then I move forward. Here we go. Wow, family planning. Not only credits, also government investment in family planning, in primary health care, aid, a lot of things means that Bangladesh today is almost like United States 1965. And these are solid data. Family size we know very well. It's easy. You make a survey. You knock the door. Door open. Kids come out. You count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's very easy. This is more difficult, and income is more difficult. But I have to show you also the distribution of income of the world. How does that look? It looks like this. This is the best available data, dollar per day in purchasing power, adding together the household surveys, 19% below the poverty line, and there is no gap between the rich and the poor. There is a hump. You can see the hump there. So you can see there is some sort of Western countries, developing countries, but they are merging together. And where are the different continents? That's Africa, south of Sahara. These are the OECD countries, the country club of the United Nations. And this is Latin America, every income in the world. This is East Europe, former Soviet Empire. This is East and Southeast Asia. And this is South Asia, with India mainly. And if we go back in time, the time when I was a student, I studied public health in Bangalore in 1972, and I was amazed about the rural poverty I could see just outside Bangalore in 1972. And now we shall see what has happened. Population has grown, and hundreds of millions in Asia get out of the poverty, and East Europe slips back into poverty, and the best prognosis we have is that this will happen. Now, these people are not so happy yet, because they are just one step out of poverty. I came back to Bangalore, we went out to the same health center, reality completely transformed. 2 to 3 child family, a booming economy, which was making it impact in the rural areas, but people still didn't have health insurance. They still didn't have access to health service. They still had a very, very tough life, but they were away from famine, and they were on their way into the modern world. Now, I can show you this in another way. Let me be very, very concrete. Let me show you Dollar Street. This is the street where everyone lives on. The number of your house is how many dollars you earn per day. This is number 1 here. I move up the street like this, and you can see how houses get better and better. But there are houses all the way. We live in a continuous world. And let us visit them. Let us visit the $1 house here. Let us visit the dollar. This one have how much? I have to look up, $2 to $5. Tiles instead of mud. I move it up here. This is the first garden. How much do you have to earn to have a garden? $5 to $10 a day, you have a garden. There we are. And the first swimming pool. Here we have the first swimming pool. And if we put it down to here, and here I think we can squeeze in them to show you the continuum of the world. And I want to show you the bed. This is a mat on the floor. These people here live on a mat on the floor. Here you have a bed, no sheet, but a blanket. Here it's even a cover. Here's a very nice bedroom. I can show you the toilet. I used to lecture for the IKEA, and they always shout, we want to see the sofa. Show us the sofa. And even the poor family. I worked a lot with people in poverty, and I've never found so much dignity, human dignity, making the best possible about your life situation. Sunset, we share, everyone, and a little bench outside the house. Here it looks as if they're quite well already, but look, it's the father which is sitting there. The whole family is on the floor. These are for visitors. Here you find a more modern life, and here you find a very nice sofa. So how can we make sense of this world? How can we make sense of the world? One way of doing it is looking like this. Here I put money here, gross domestic product. Now it's national accounts, and here child survival, how many % of children that survive. And $500, $5,000, $50,000. This is Africa, South Asia, East Asia, Arab state, East Europe, Latin America, and up there OECD. It looks as if there is a gap in the world. But when I split Africa into its country, you can see that sub-Saharan Africa is quite diverse, even on average between countries. Sierra Leone in crisis, Mauritius got free trade. They could sell their products on the same situation as the European farmers. And in the middle here you find Ghana. If I split South Asia, of course the big bubble is India, Afghanistan goes down, and Sri Lanka up there. Grandmother can read on Sri Lanka. Public investments in education was very early. Arab states, they should be the same religion, same climate. Ooh la la, don't think that you know Arab states if you've been in one. Yemen to Dubai is 1 hour flight and it's two ends of the world. And East Asia is the same. China is the big bubble in the middle, and down there goes Cambodia, and up there Singapore. That overruns Sweden. We used to be so happy in Sweden because they had the healthiest kids in the world, and we used to brag us around in the world and say it like this. But Singapore overtook us 3 years ago, and now they have the healthiest children in the world. And here we have East Europe, and such a difference has emerged from the Soviet Empire. Tajikistan and Slovenia is furious that they can't be member of the OECD fast enough. And Latin America, well, the difference there is mainly within countries, not so much between countries. And very soon Chile will overtake Cuba in health of the children. Chile is doing very well socially also. And there are the OECD countries. And if you split OECD, it's not so big difference, but really the whole world is like this. It's a continuous variation in the world. And I could also show the split of the world, because it's very dangerous to just show the average. Look, when I split South Africa. The richest 20% of South Africa are there, the poorest are there. And I split Uganda, the richest are up there, the poorest are there. And Niger, West Africa, great producers of cotton. And they wonder, why should US subsidize cotton farmers with $4 to $5 billion a year? If you just take away that, you get those $4 to $5 billion to hand over to Anne Veneman at UNICEF, and the West African farmers can do on their own. Because it's not enough with microcredits if you have been deprived of your market by unjust subsidies. This is a very serious issue. But look, you have the whole Africa within the whole world within 3 countries in Africa. The world is quite complex like this. And if you would see how it has moved like this. We can see there was China 1960, and this is how they moved. China got healthier with Mao Zedong, but not richer. There he died, Mao Zedong, and Deng Xiaoping made them richer, but not so much healthier. And they mainstreamed it. And we got this pattern of the world, which we know it today, which is a continuum, where most of the countries are in the middle. This is a picture of the same way. I want to show it because I want you to show my family. This is my great-great-grandma. She was born 1830 when Sweden was down here. That's the position of Sweden, 1830. And then Sweden progressed, but not so fast. And their great-grandma was born when Sweden was like Mozambique. My grandma, who took care of me when I was a child, was born when Sweden was like Ghana. Invest in Ghana. They are at takeoff. Mother was born when Sweden was like Egypt. And I'm the Mexican in the family. And my daughter was born when Sweden was like Chile, and I had my first granddaughter born when Sweden was like Singapore. There is no we and them. We don't divide our relatives in we and them. We feel very strong connections, and we see how every generation has worked hard and tried to improve situation for the next generation to come. I want to show that I'm a serious professor, so that's why I have this bullet point PowerPoint there. Development dimension. Very often we want to measure development in one dimension. This is very wrong. If we read Amartya Sen or anyone, economic growth, governance and education, health, human rights, environment are very important dimension of it. Now, who are the drivers? I would say that economic growth, I give 3 plus. 2 plus for governance and just 1 for these good, nice things. Whereas these are not the same thing as the goals. I don't think economic growth is a goal. It may be the strongest mean we have for development, but it's not a goal in itself, except for one little subtype of persons, which are quite strange. But for the majority of people, money is not it's a mean, it's not an aim. Governance and education, well, school isn't that fun and voting isn't that fun. What's fun is health, human rights, environments, culture, doing what you want. That's the aim. And this is how we have to see. We have to see at the complex world and see several things at the same thing. The poor people, When they live in poverty, under $1, they just want yields. They want their crop to grow. They listen to the agronomist, what should I plant? Out of poverty they get through technology. The African farmers, I spent 20 years in research in rural Africa. The women said, give us a mill, we'll pay for the rest. And they really need the credit for that. And then they need a market, otherwise they never get away from poverty. But market, she says, I need school, otherwise I will be cheated. I need a healthy kid, otherwise I can't go. I need infrastructure by the government so I can go easy. I need the microcredit for my bicycle. I need the information. I need the room and right to do what I want. And I love free trade. I hate agricultural subsidies overseas. So why can't we have a fact-based worldview? If we make a technology, we can have websites with search and interaction. The statistics can be free. The analyst can say, aha. We can make webcast stories like this, like we show the weather in TV. We can reach the public and even hit the TV sofa, as we say in Sweden. This is what we want to happen. The problem is World Bank is still selling the public statistic. It's a very strange business. That bank needs to revise several things, I would say, several things. I did a survey. I went to Wall Street. I'm coming up the tube station. I have my American Express card ready. I think I have to pay to walk the sidewalks. But it's free. The sidewalks are free. Isn't it fantastic? Some things should be tax financed. And I think it's time that statistics become the intellectual sidewalks, that we are fact-based to a much larger extent. And we can achieve this. Free data. Paul Cheung, who is the head of UN Statistic, will open UN Statistic databases free, and it wasn't difficult to convince Larry Page and Sergey Brin that Google would be a great company to invest in this, and very happily we sold our software to Google 2 months ago, and now we really think that the change will come. There will be technology free for the world for statistics. The public statistic is no intellectual property problem. It's already owned by the public. It's not like the books and the journals and all these things. This statistic is $20 billion a year paid by the public. It should be out there, understandable, free, and searchable, and we think it will happen very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Professor Rosling. You've set a wonderful baseline for our subsequent discussions. And I must say, if you had been my professor, I would be much better at statistics than I am today. Professor Rosling is also a very active blogger. So if you want to continue the discussion with him after this session, I urge you to ask him and converse with him that way.